And good evening, everybody, and welcome here to the All-Star Race. As we're back here at Charlotte for the final time today, get ready to find out who will win $1 million in the All-Star Race for the PCSRA Winston Cup Series. You see the starting lineup over here. These are the drivers that race their way into the event via the Open, or in Jared Johnson's case, the rookie or the Winston Open shootout that we had here last night. While these cars are rolling off, do need to make a little correction. I said Samantha Granger was driving the 44. That was actually her sister Lucy in the 44. I've already posted that deal in the description, so I apologize for the mistake on that, but at least it'll get corrected. So Lucy Granger unfortunately did not make the All-Star race, but will be cheering her sister on in this deal. And some of the drivers that took part in the shootout and also the Winston Open, they're going to have a big advantage over those that just watch to see what kind of notes they're taking. That might play a factor going into our points events here next week. 20 laps of racing for Jared Johnson. He'll complete 60 laps here this weekend, which says to me that's a big advantage having over those that are going to have zero in the race weekend next week at Charlotte. Pace car is off. Here we go. The inaugural Winston All-Star Race for the Winston Cup Series is underway. Let's go, racing drivers. For a couple of drivers that are in this field that are struggling in the points table, this run needs to be perfect for them if they want to have any chances of making it into the playoffs when we begin the second half of the regular season next week. Hannah Smith will lead the first lap of tonight's race. There's Samantha Granger. Mentioned Lucy Granger was in the 44. Of course, she only had 40 laps on track. Of course, she made it through the open shootout, but didn't transfer her way into the Winston. See, that's what happens when I record these races at like 2 in the morning. You know, just to make sure you guys are happy I have some content coming up on the channel. Dana Wright, Ponzo Albanese, Cody Smart, Elena Aurora. There's Ben Tennyson, who will be third in the points when we resume the points next week. And we begin what I like to call the chase to the chase for the championship. Jacob Tutu like to build some momentum off to get himself ready to run down Josephine Bouvier for the points lead. Jacob Tutu has taken the race lead here in the All-Star race. Going to check the back of the field here. Jared Johnson's back here. Samantha Granger, Courtney Lynn, Zachary Taylor, right there, the two drivers from Indiana Motorsports. Those two are going to need to get their act together coming up in the second half of the regular season if they want to have any shot of battling for this season's chase for the championship. Because Zachary Taylor is currently outside the top 30 in the points table, meaning his win will not count for a spot into this season's chase for the championship. And Zachary Taylor will enter the second half of the regular season a total of 14 points back of 30th in the standings. Annie Thomas, on the other hand, will be a total of 33 points back of 30th in the standings, so she will need a good run in the Coke 600 to try to get herself back in the top 30 in the points for her win to count for a spot into this season's chase for the championship. We're nearing the halfway point of tonight's race. Tatum Wright going to take the lead. Cody Smart right behind her. We have a 5-car separation here. 01 is only a second back. There he is. There's Annie Thomas going to need some momentum going for her in the second half of the regular season. Hannah Smith, who is yet to find victory lane for the first time this season, still looking for that first win. If she wins the All-Star race, that is good momentum for her because she has not had a good season so far in the Winston Cup Series. So she needs to get her season turned around. Hannah Smith, 25th in the points when we resume the championship next week. Gonna need to find something special. Jacob Tutu, I think his goal is to try to make sure he keeps himself in the top 10, because if Jacob Tutu stays in the top 10 in points, it's going to be very much impossible for Jacob Tutu to drop outside the top 30 in points, barring if he ends up going into a slump in the second half of the regular season. Don't forget, the Winston Cup Series drivers will have some off weeks. I believe they're going to have a 2-week break coming up soon. I think. I could be wrong, but we'll have to see about that. Next week, as I mentioned, we'll be here at Charlotte for all 3 series. Winston Cup will take the next 2 weeks off, as we will have Memphis for trucks and Busch, and then go to Milwaukee, and then the Winston Cuppers will be back the following week, where we're going to have just Busch and Winston Cup racing coming up soon. I don't know what track we're going to, but we'll see. I bet you these Winston Cup teams will be refreshed and ready to go to have a nice little break. Down to 5 laps of racing to go. And the Winston Cup's next race they come back to will be Rockingham, North Carolina. That'll be a fun race. It'll be Busch and Winston Cup for that race weekend when they do come back from their break. That'll be the 15th race we'll be having for the Winston Cup. Of course, because next week will be the last race for Winston Cup. Then they will take the next 2 weeks off. Down to 3 laps to go. This would be good momentum for Hannah Smith if she wins this All-Star race, but don't forget Jared Johnson. This could be good momentum for him going into the second half of the Truck Series schedule, because we have the next 3 races for trucks. This race coming up next week here at Charlotte, then Memphis and Milwaukee, which those 3 races are critical. Because if you believe it or not, 3 of the next 4 races for trucks will be short tracks. Charlotte will be the only intermediate track they will have. Jared Johnson leads this race. We're coming to the white flag. Boy, wouldn't it be an awesome story? Jared Johnson sweeps all 3, won the open shootout last night, transferred his way into this Winston from the Winston Open. No driver in PCSRA history has ever done the trifecta. And it looks like Jared Johnson is about to join that list. Off of turn 4, Jared Johnson in a 1-race deal for AJ Foyt will win the All-Star race. Wow, that was unexpected. Standings are official. Cody Smart, second. Courtney Lynn, Jacob Tutu, Hannah Smith, Todd Montgomery, Ashley Horton, Tatum Wright, Zachary Taylor, and Elena Rohrer, the top 10. Then it was Joseph, Tennyson, Thomas, Albanus, Stevens, Granger, and Sean Art, rounding out your 17-car field. But what a story for Jared Johnson. I have a feeling he might be a favorite to win Charlotte next week for the Truck Series when we come here for our points-paying events. So that should be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. But that, my friends, is going to do it for the All-Star race for this season. We had a lot of fun. And guess what? We're right back here for Charlotte next week because we're going to have the chase to the chase for the championship as we get set to start the second half for all 3 series, Trucks, Busch, and Winston Cup Series competition coming your way here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then Winston Cup will be off the next 2 weeks. We'll have Trucks and Busch from Memphis and Milwaukee. Please give this video if you enjoyed tonight's All-Star race. Subscribe to become part of the PCSRA crew today. We shared your full finish results. We'll see you guys next week for our points-paying events here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until then, I've been DeVol signing off. Good night from Charlotte, and so long from the All-Star Race weekend, as you've been watching yet another broadcast of PCSRA TV, where champions are made since 2010, the best in our racing around the world since 2017. Let the chase to the chase for all 3 series begin. Good night, everybody.